And how you doing, how you living, how you feeling, folks? Back for another episode of the Bases Loaded podcast. Of course, this is brought to you by the Idiots Podcast Network, full of great podcasts. So, I'm back. I'm your host. My name is Zach. I'm always going to be your idiot number 0. And we're carrying on with the divisional series. You know, we're talking about all these teams, seeing what they're looking like going into opening day, how, well, you know, kind of what we think about each team, what we're just gauging them up a little bit of a team preview for each division. So, you know, we've already done a couple of these, and we're just going to keep on rolling. So this episode is all about the AL West. So with that being said, what we're going to do is we're just going to start it right off and start talking about the World Series winners, Texas Rangers. And so I would say, you know, one great way to describe this this Rangers team is that the lineups got popped, but it looks like the pitchers got popped. I mean, it's tough when you have Scherzer, DeGrom, and Tyler Mahle all out with major injuries. You know, 2 Tommy John and a back surgery for a herniated disc. It's just, that's a lot of, a lot of injuries to your pitchers. But the reason why I say that is because this lineup hits bombs. They have an unbelievable amount of pop to the bat. A really, really fun team. And just to quickly go through it, I mean, they didn't add anybody to this lineup. This lineup is, I would argue, as fresh as it could be. They probably lost they lost Mitch Garver over the offseason, so that was really their only major loss in terms of the lineup. And I love this lineup, man. I mean, they could stand to get a new DH, but it looks like they want to try out Wyatt Langford, you know, former 4th-round draft pick from, with the Rangers, so that's cool. Looks like he was actually picked last year, so even cooler. Guy's pretty young, you know, he's 22. We're also going to watch Leody Taveras play, you know, another young guy that's come up through the system. They love Jonah Heim. He's been a great catcher for them. A little switch hitting action. Guy's got good pop to the bat. But this whole lineup is good. They got a lot of fun pieces, you know. Nathan Lowe has always been solid. I'm excited to see another season of Evan Carter, see how good he really is, because he had a great playoff run, but I want to see how solid he's going to be throughout a whole season. So, with that being said, I love the lineup. I love the pop ability. I love that they just hit the damn ball. I didn't even mention Corey Seager. That's how and Adolis Garcia. I didn't even need to mention them. That's how good this lineup is. And just, you know, now adding them, it's even better. Oy, excuse me. So, with that being said, you know, we're going to quickly move on to the pitching side of this, where, you know, bullpen-wise, I did see them take up 2 new additions. I like them. I will say that. They went out, they picked up David Robertson, and they also went out and picked up Kirby Yates. Now, I like taking these 2 older veteran relievers, you know, 2 righties, 2 very, very solid, consistent righties. You know what you're going to get? You're going to get some high-end bullpen action out of those guys. Could even potentially close for you if need be. So I think just having that extra option with some extra good relievers there definitely helps. Now, outside of, you know, those 2 guys and Jose Leclerc, I think their bullpen is definitely not good. I think their bullpen's a little rough around the edges, to say the least. And, you know, that's just going to be a major point for them. I think if they're not able to close these games out, it's going to be a tough one. Now, let's move on to the starting pitching. I think this is where we really need to talk. Now, as a whole, this team has great starting pitching when, you know, you throw in Tyler Mahle, you throw in DeGrom, you throw in Scherzer. This starting rotation looks pretty phenomenal, but with those guys being made of glass right now, you know, having Eovaldi be your number 1 starter. Now, he's had some great seasons over the last couple of years, but I'm not sure to say that, you know, that's your ace. He's a great 2 pitcher. You know, they also have John Gray, guy they signed from Colorado a few years ago, who's been okay. Andrew Heaney, who's okay. And Dane Dunning, who's, you know, had some success throughout his career, you know, still relatively new to the MLB, so I want to see him just get another year under his belt. But he had a great 2023, so hopefully he can continue that. But, you know, just without some of these star-studded pitchers, it's tough. It just makes this lineup look a hell of a lot tougher to, you know, win a contested division. You know, there's a lot of decent teams over here in this AL West, so it's a little difficult trying to figure out what the hell's going on with this team in terms of pitching, but I would like to go see them pick up I'd like to see them retain Jordan Montgomery. I think if they're able to bring that guy back, I think this pitching staff is pretty much fixed, and they're a phenomenal team. Now, right now, with Jordan Montgomery not being back in the team, I would argue this team has lost free agency, but if they're able to retain Jordan Montgomery, they've definitely won free agency for sure. So with that being said, I would like to just see, kind of what happens over the next month with the Rangers. Now, that being said, something I wanted to talk about real quick is, what's it called? Their over-under. So, their over-under set at 89.5 games. For some odd reason, this feels like a team I'm going to take the over for. Even though I'm not super confident, I am going to take the over. I just love the pop in the lineup. There's so much there, so many young guys. I really want to see what Evan Carter is going to bring to the table this year. And I think if they're able to retain Jordan Montgomery, this line is going to look a hell of a lot better. Excuse me. Now, let's move on to our next team. And that's going to be the Houston Astros. Now, they did virtually nothing from this year to last year. Now, of course, they did make one major splash signing, and that would be Josh Hader, picking up a great guy to be your official closer. What an unbelievable pickup for this team. And really, I hate to say it, but this might be a short, kind of go over. Now, what I wanted to say is the way I described this team in my notes was same as great. They didn't need to do anything. The same team is a great team. Why not run it back and see if they can do it all over again? Maybe make a better run. So, let's just start off with the lineup. This lineup bangs, man. I mean, they used to bang on trash cans. Now they just bang. I mean, maybe they still do. I don't know. But this lineup is great. I really do like Jeremy Pena. I think he's got a lot to offer. Chas McCormick's been kind of developing and had a pretty decent year last year. 21 home runs, 14 ribbies. 14 stolen bases on a 250 batting average. That's not bad at all. I expect Jose Abreu to have a better season, more of a signature Jose Abreu season, so I'm excited for that. Bringing back Kyle Tucker, still have Alex Bregman, still have Jordan. So I love this team. This team knows how to hit. They know how to just make a fun product. They put out a great baseball team every single year. I love the team. I really think that they're just solid on the defensive front, on the offensive front. They know how to get the job done with that lineup. Now, moving to pitching, it's a little bit more interesting. So we're gonna see Kendall Graveman. We'll start off with the bullpen. We're gonna see Kendall Graveman just be out for a little bit. He had shoulder surgery in January of 2024. So I don't know how long that's gonna take him being out. Might see him return closer to August, but still, that's going to be an awesome bump for them late in the season. Phenomenal reliever. Could even closed a little bit for the Seattle Mariners, individual rivals. And I really do like this bullpen, man. I mean, Ryan Presley's been a phenomenal closer for the past couple of years. They have Hader in there. Rafael Montero has been a lot better over the last couple of years for them. It was never that great for the Mets. But I think they got enough solid arms, and I think they're pretty much happy with what they have. I think this bullpen will be just fine. Now, in terms of the starters, they do have a nice little spread of starters. Now, of course, leading it off with Justin Verlander, that was a miserable trade with the Mets, but hey, you know what? It is what it is now. So they're going to have their ace leading it off in Verlander. They still have Framber back in there. Christian Javier, hopefully he can have a bounce-back season compared to last year. Hunter Brown, a young guy that's coming up through the system, has played phenomenal so far. And Jose Urquidy, who's been a solid innings eater for them. But to get back a guy like Luis Garcia or Lance McCullers back into that starting rotation, I think can just add a little bit of extra value, really make this starting rotation elite with only one true elite name there. So I think that's pretty awesome. And just Houston they're stacked to the nines. They really didn't need to do a lot. I mean, hell, they won free agency by signing one player. They lost like two guys. I mean, between Hector Neris, Phil Maton, and Ryan Stanek, all three of those guys, I would argue, don't even come close to equaling what a Hader equals. So, they definitely won free agency. Now, that being said, they are at a 92.5 game over-under. Now, I think they're going to smash that over-under. I got a feeling, man, the Astros are back and they smell blood in the water. I really do think they're going to end up being the division winners. I don't see Texas taking the reins again and doing what they did last year in the same capacity, but I do see them being still successful at that. So with that being said, Houston, my divisional favorites, we're going to move on to another team here, and that's going to be the Los Angeles Angels, a team that's become rather sad over the last few seasons, a team that I really want to root for just because, Trout's a Jersey guy and I want to root for my Jersey guy. But, Trout really didn't have too many, he really wasn't there for a whole season last year, played about half the season, had a decent year with what he was able to do. but I expect him to be great, nothing but the same. Hopefully we can get maybe a halfway decent Rendon. It would be cool to see a non-baseball hating Rendon maybe just enjoy baseball a little bit and be halfway decent at it. That would be awesome. Taylor Ward's been a guy they've had in the system for a little bit. He's as developed as he's going to be. He's not a bad outfielder by any means, but I wouldn't argue that he's a great player, entering his age 30 season. They also have Brandon Drury, who's had a great year for them last year. Actually, their home run leader, had the most pop potential by far. They need him in this lineup just because if Trout's not going to be there, they need someone else to bang, and that's him. But outside of that, Logan O'Hoppe, okay catching prospect they have. Zach Neto, Luis Rengifo, Mickey Moniak, Nolan Schuler, Chenol. That's a tough last name, man. Holy shit, Nolan Chenol. So, yeah, I just don't like this lineup, man. They don't have anything there that makes me go, oh, that's awesome. Like, I know they picked up Aaron Hicks, and I guarantee you he'll get a good amount of run in this team's outfield this season, just because. Taylor Ward's all right. Mickey Moniak, you don't really know what you have in him. You hope he progresses into something decent, but it's just a rough existence right now being an Angels fan. They don't have much. Joe Adell was supposed to be the next big thing, but it never really progressed, and this team just hasn't been what everyone's expecting it to be good. And now let's just move on real quick. We'll talk about the starting pitching. Now, I like Reed Detmers. The guy's going on his age 24 to 25 season. Hasn't had a ton of success in the league yet. Has shown he's an effective innings eater, but outside of that, has not shown that he's a super effective pitcher. But I think over the next few years, he'll be getting there. He'll look a lot better and better and better. So I do like Reed Detmers. Griffin Canning's rather young. He's a guy who's had pretty much the same success as Reed Detmers, a lot of inning eating. Patrick Sandoval's had some success. He's sitting at right about a 4 ERA. He's not horrible. Tyler Anderson's all right. He's like the same type of thing. And I don't know who Chase Silseth is, but maybe he's a good young prospect you guys have coming up to the system that can really show what he's got. Last year he threw 52 innings. He had a 3.96. More of the same for this team. Now, they did redo pretty much their entire bullpen, picking up Adam Simber, Luis Garcia, Jose Cerno, Robert Stephenson, and Matt Moore. Now, Matt Moore, Robert Stephenson had great years last year. Luis Garcia had an okay year, but the last two, not super great. But what I would say is that this definitely helps. I think they re-bolstered their bullpen. I think they made it a lot better from what it was last year. And just trying to make this team a semi-decent product to put out in the field to watch. Now, I would definitely say they lost free agency. They lost Gio. They lost Grichuk. They lost Ohtani. They're going to lose Aaron Loup probably. They didn't retain CJ Cron. So I just, this team is just rough. They don't have a lot really going for it. It's just a rough existence being a Angels fan. And for Angels fans out there, I'm really sorry that this is just, you guys got to watch Trout have his career wasted away by terrible front office management. I really do wish that the Angels would either trade him or just get good kid. Now, the Angels, lose some of the biggest losers of free agency. I will say they're at a 72.5 over-under total, taking the under. I just think this team is going to be hysterically bad, and it's unfortunate. It really is unfortunate. Now, with that being said, we're going to move on to the Seattle Mariners. And the Seattle Mariners are a fun baseball organization. They've done a lot. They did lose, what's it called? Teoscar Hernandez this offseason, but they're a fun baseball team. All right, so sorry, I just need a little bit of drink of water real quick. But it's a fun baseball team. They went out there this offseason. They always do a little something a little something to say the least they do something every offseason. Now, they did lose Tom Murphy, backup catcher, and they did lose Teoscar to a crazy deal. But I don't think they're really feeling that all too much. I don't think that's going to be a major hit to their ball club. They went out, they picked up Mitch Garver. They went out, they picked up Jorge Polanco. They picked up Mitch Haniger. And I think, these pieces, although they might not pop off the page at you, I think they definitely add a lot of depth and just overall quality bats to this lineup, something that just helps, when you're able to be, have quality bats in your 7-8 hole as well as all the way up at the top of the lineup. It just shows how good your team can be, and you really can hit from any position, making teams have to try to pitch around just about every bat. So I like this lineup. I like how much pop potential they have. I like that they got a good amount of lefties, righties, switch hitters. They got a good amount of different types of people in the lineup to just bang. And I like this lineup, man. I really do. J.P. Crawford's going to be cool. Hopefully we see another great season out of Julio Rodriguez. Jorge Polanco, I'm expecting big things out of. Ty France, I'm expecting another good season out of him. Something special out of Mitch Haniger. I don't like Josh Rojas personally, but I know they have him playing third base right now, so we'll see how that goes. But with that being said, I do like this starting lineup. I think they're just a fun lineup. They got some good defensive potential, a lot of offensive pop, fun team. So let's keep it rolling. We're going to start with these starters, and these starters are fun, man. Logan Gilbert, 26-year-old phenom, has shown that he is a great pitcher in this MLB level. I'm very excited to see what he has. And same thing with George Kirby. Two guys that have come up through the ball club, have shown nothing but success at the major league level, have been awesome, and I expect them to still be awesome. And that's just an unbelievable thing. There's nothing better than having a guy come up through your system, be an awesome pitcher, and stay there. So I'm glad that they have those two guys. Now, two other guys that have been coming up through the system have had some success, but I would say a little bit less. So that's going to be Bryce Miller and Brian Wu. Now, over the next couple seasons, I do expect these guys to get a lot better. Now, I think it's pretty crazy that they have four pitchers all under the age of 26 years old that have shown at least a decent amount of major league success. And that's pretty awesome. I mean, this is an unbelievable starting rotation that they were able to build. And I'm glad they haven't split it apart yet. That's really the big thing. They've kept it together, and they've shown that, this is the fruits of their labor. And I'm really, really proud of the Mariners organization for that. Now, of course, their number one ace, their starter, Luis Castillo, has been an unbelievable lights-out starter. Nothing better than that. So congratulations, guys, on creating, I would argue, one of the best starting rotations in the entire MLB. Now, with that being said, we're going to move on to their bullpen. They did a little bit. They went out, they picked up Andrew Voth, Jackson Crower, two guys I would necessarily not have on my radar, but, might add a little bit of pitching depth in terms of the bullpen for these guys. And they also went out and picked out Gregory Santos, guy who had a lot of success last year with the White Sox with a 3.5 ERA through 61 innings. Now, I like this bullpen. They're pretty solid. Andres Munoz has been good in the past. Same thing with Matt Brash. This lineup knows what they're doing. They know how to go out there. This bullpen knows what they're doing. They know how to go out there, finish these games, get the job done. And I really think with this crop of starters this team has, their bullpen doesn't need to be as good as many other places, but I think it's definitely good enough to get the job done for what this team has become. And I really think this might be a potential number one wild card team in the AL. This is just a very, very fun, very, very well organized roster. So with that being said, their over under totals at 87.5, and honestly, this is my thing. I'm taking the under. I think they're going to get close to it, but they just do feel a little Metsy to me. This is a team that has a lot. They definitely have a lot of pop potential, probably a little bit younger than the Mets. But when you look at this team and I look at the roster construction, it just does eerily remind me of the Mets in terms of their lineup. Now, their pitching is a hell of a lot better, so I do expect them to be a lot better than the Mets. And I think 87.5 wins. I think hitting the over is possible, but I believe them being an 85, 86 win team is probably par for the course. Now, we have one more team to talk about. They're probably the most sad team in the entire MLB, and it's unfortunate that it feels like every division has one of these teams in them. One of these teams that's just perpetually in last place. No one gives a shit about them. They're just kind of there to be there, and that's the Oakland A's in this division. Now, if I could bring up the Oakland A's roster, I think that we'd all find out pretty quickly. There's not a single player on there that you could even name. Okay, that's not true, but for the most part, it's pretty damn hard to name these guys. Outside of Seth Brown, who we know, Shea Langoliers, who's been a prospect coming up through them as a catcher, he's had some success. And then we also see JJ Bleday, guy that was traded over for AJ Puck last offseason. And Estory Ruiz, 51 stolen bags, was an awesome surprise. But this team doesn't shock me. They don't surprise me. They don't do anything for me. And I'm not even going to go to any of these games. I mean, I bought a ticket package, and I told the guy, I said, the only game I'm not going to is the A's series, because all these games are going to be a fucking disaster. I don't want to watch my team win or lose to this unbelievably garbage assortment of players. It's funny because they probably do have a better starting rotation than there's one other team that then the Rockies. They definitely have a better starting rotation than the Rockies. JP Sears, Paul Blackburn, Alex Wood, Ross Stripling. They have some guys who have been around the block, done it a couple times. Bullpen-wise, they're all right. I don't think they have anyone necessarily special, but I hate this team, man. I just don't like it at all. They definitely came away as a winner in free agency, but it doesn't take really anything to win in free agency in terms of being a, Oakland A's manager. So I'm just disappointed that this is what the A's have become, and they're not the fun team that I once was able to see in the early 2010s with Matt Olson, Matt Chapman, and they had Donaldson on that team at one point. And they just had a really fun roster, and that roster is unfortunately no longer constructed. So their win-loss totals at 56.5. This is another team I said, why bother? Why bother even throwing money on this? It's not worth it. They're probably going to suck just as bad. And you want to bet on a team that's going to suck so bad they're going to win maybe 56 games? Yeah, not worth it. I would take the under, but it's still not worth it. So, with that being said, folks, I really do appreciate you guys coming out, listening, enjoying the time you guys spend with me. It means a lot. So, with that being said, don't be afraid to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, throw a comment down below. All are appreciated. You can come find me on Instagram at _idiots_podcast_network. A lot of underscores, but it's pretty fun. You can always go there, check out for updates, see what's going on, see when new episodes are coming out. Don't be afraid to hit me up on there. I'm always happy to respond and get back to you. So with that being said, I really appreciate you guys coming out, listening, and have a phenomenal day, folks.